Hi algebra students, this video is going to be on absolute value inequalities. What absolute value inequalities is, I have absolute value, I have inequalities, and we're combining them. Okay, alright, so first off, let's make sense of what an absolute value is. Okay, I'm going to give you absolute value of 5. Okay, what absolute value represents, you hear this, you better be thinking of the word distance. Okay, the word distance. So what this is saying, what absolute value represents is that it's the distance away from 0. Okay, well, how far is 5 away from 0? Well, it's 5. You should know that. Okay, if you don't, find out a way you can. What about if I gave you, let's say, -7? Well, how far away is -7? Okay, so I look at 0, how far away? It's 7 away. Alright, so the short answer is that if I put anything in absolute value, it just comes out being positive. Okay, why? Well, look at this. I'm going to draw a number line. We're going to do 0. I'm going to do -7. So -7 is to the left. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, this is -7. I'm going to put a dot right there. How far is this distance? It's only 7 away. Okay. Now, for absolute value inequalities, there's a ton of ways to solve these. Now, the way that I solve them, I've generally found that this is the easiest way. It requires the least amount of math. And yeah, I'll go over this. So we just have to basically construct a sentence. If you know how to read the inequality, you'll be able to know how to graph and solve the inequality. Okay, so we're going to go through a couple examples. Very detailed. I'm going to go through this very slow to make sure that you understand this. Alright, so I'm going to give you this. X, so absolute value of x minus 3 less than 4. Okay, so I'm going to write this. I'm going to get a marker that works. Alright, now absolute value represents distance. X represents, it's just a variable. I could put a K in there, I could put a smiley face, I could put a donkey, does not matter. How do I read this then? In a mathematical way. Well, this says the distance of this stuff. Okay, so I'm going to write the distance. And I'm going to write really fast, so my penmanship is going to be bad. From a number. Instead of writing X, I'm just going to put number. Now, in a distance statement, what's absolutely critical for it to be a distance statement is that there needs to be a negative sign here. Now, what that negative sign represents, I don't put negative sign or minus sign. It represents the word 2. Okay, normally I would go through a lot of stuff, but I'm going to try to make this video as short as I can. So distance from a number to 3 is less than 4. So when you have distance statements, this is what we call it, distance statement. This is how you read it. So this says the distance from a number to 3 is less than 4. Okay, the distance from a number to 3 is less than 4. I'm going to read it again. The distance from a number to, minus signs means 2, 3 is less than 4. Okay, alright, so how do I graph this? Well, you graph the way that you read it. Okay, so I have to start somewhere. So let's read this. The distance from a number to 3 is less than 4. So you start where it says after 2. Okay, right there. I start at 3. Okay, now what's that distance? Well, it said the distance of this stuff is less than 4. So I'm going to go 4 to the right and 4 to the left. Okay, well, if I move 4, if I take 4 steps over here, we're at 7. And if I take 4 steps over here, well, we're going to be at -1. Okay, now at these points, noticing the rules of inequalities, we have to know, am I going to put open circle at these 2 points or closed? Well, it says less than. Less than or it could be greater than, you're always going to put open. So I'm going to put open circles at these. Okay, and with these, I have to know, am I going to shade in between these two circles or outside? Well, the rule is this. The simple rule is this. If it's ever less than or less than or equal to, you're going to shade on the inside. Okay, and right over here, if it's ever greater than or greater than or equal to, well, that's going to be on the outside. Well, we notice that we have a less than, so you're going to shade in between. Okay, well, a distance from a number to 3 is less than 4. Well, if I start at 3 and it's less than 4, well, you could have 4, you could have 5, you could have 6. All these numbers are in here. They satisfy this inequality. Okay, I'm going to give you some other examples. All right. What if I were to give you m minus 5 in absolute value greater than or equal to 2? Okay, starting off, how do I read this? Well, this says the distance from a number to 5 is greater than or equal to 2. Okay, write that really fast. The distance from, I don't put m, I put a number, minus signs means 2, 5 is greater than or equal to. Okay, this line over here, that's the equal to part. Equal to 2. Okay. Well, if I were to graph this, it results from the distance statement. Well, I have a 5. So the distance from a number to 2, so I'm going to start at 2, or I'm going to start at 5, sorry. And what is that distance I'm moving? Well, I'm moving this over here. If you need to know, that number is always where you start. This is where you're going to move. Okay, so I'm going to move 2 steps to the right, 2 steps to the left. Okay, well, if I move 2 to the left, or 2 to the right of 5, I'm at 7. And 2 to the left of it, I'm at 3. Okay, determine what type of circle. Well, it's greater than or equal to. Equal to tells me it's closed. Okay, so line underneath tells me whether it's open or closed. The inequality above, greater than, that tells me whether it's inside or outside. Where do I shade? Okay, well, it's greater than. And from the previous example, we said greater than is on the outside. So I'm going to shade to the outside, left of it, and to the right of it. Okay. Alright, so if it's inside, I would shade in. If it were less than, I would shade inside. Greater than, outside. Alright. Now let's put this up one level. I'm going to give you this. We're going to have absolute value y plus 3 is greater than 2. Let's read this. So this says the distance from a number over here, it should be a minus sign. It's not. It needs to be a minus sign so I can say the word 2. How do I get it to be? The way you do it is you decide, I'm going to have absolute value y minus a negative 3. Put that in parentheses. And then write everything else the same. Because what is minus and negative? Well, if I combine that, that would be positive. These two things are the same thing. Okay, now I can read it. This says the distance from a number to negative 3 is greater than 2. Okay. Well, in this case, we start at negative 3. If I didn't know that that was a distance statement, I could have incorrectly started at 3. You don't want to do that. Okay, so I'm going to start at negative 3. How much am I moving away? Well, it's 2. So I'm going 2 this way, 2 that way. Okay, 2 to the right is negative 1. 2 to the left is negative 5. Okay, is it open or closed? There's no equal to, so it's open. And the inequality is greater than, so that tells me to shade on the outside. Okay, that's how it is. Open circles here, and it's going opposite direction. Alright, one more example. Okay, one more example. I think you should be set. You're going to be fine. Alright, I'm just going to read it. I'm not actually going to write the distance statement. Okay, so is this written or formulated in order to write a distance statement? No, this has to be a minus. It's a plus. So very simple. In order to make it a minus, put minus a negative 5. Okay, let's read this. This says the distance, so absolute value represents distance. The distance from a number to -5 is less than or equal to 7. Okay, I'm just going to graph it for this one. So where do I begin? I begin at -5. How much am I moving? I'm moving 7. 7 to the right, 7 to the left. Okay, if I were to go 7 to the right, that would give me a +2. 7 to the left, I believe that's -12. -12. Okay, are they open or closed? Well, the equal to tells me it's closed. Okay, and it's less than. Less than tells me it's shaded on the inside. So that's how it looks like. Two closed circles, shaded on the inside. They are joined. Alright, that concludes this video. Hopefully you got a lot out of it. Alright,